suffering people who have nowhere else to turn. Together, we are going to some of the world's most desperate places and bringing a wave of hope and healing to those who need it most.
Thank you! Thank you!
To learn more about this wave of hope, go to mercyships.org today.
Listen to Purdue Fort Wayne Mastodons men's basketball right here.
Showtime, baby!
All season long as they try to rumble to the top of the Horizon League.
Conchar slams it home!
Mastodons basketball.
His three-pointer on the way.
The Mastodons head to the Arizona Tip-Off in Phoenix to take on Northern Arizona this Friday with a 4:15 pregame.
Mastodons basketball exclusively on 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM. Live from the Hoopy Insurance Services Studios, this is WKJG 1380 AM, 100.9 FM, The Fan, Fort Wayne, Indiana. This is a presentation of high school sports on 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM. The Hoopy Fieldhouse High School Coaches Show. Learn more about the Hoopy Fieldhouse, now available to schedule practice times for your league or team at hoopyfieldhouse.com. Now here's your host, Justin Kenny.
One game away, one win away from an appearance in the state championship game. That's where we find four area teams heading into Friday night semi-state here in Northeast Indiana, all four coincidentally playing at home. Welcome into the High School Coaches Show presented by Hoopy Fieldhouse. I'm Justin Kenny, talking semi-state football tonight, and the games, we'll preview each of them here in just a couple seconds with our buddy Sam Frick from OutsideTheHuddle.net. It's a full show. We got Sam Frick off the jump. Then we'll talk to Kyle Lindsay, head football coach of the Bishop Luers Knights, his team preparing for a home showdown with Lafayette Central Catholic tomorrow. Bottom of the hour, Kurt Tippmann, Snider Panthers will join us. We'll talk about that win last week, the heroics at the end of the game, not just with Mang Tung making that 45-yard field goal, but the ability of Kieron Billingsley to lead the offense down the field in the clutch to get into field goal range. And we'll also discuss the matchup for the Panthers coming up at home against Maryville tomorrow. We'll wrap it up at 6:45. Head coach Jason Doerffler of the Leo Lions as his team will take on Northwood, also at home tomorrow, 7 o'clock kickoff there. So a full show here. Thank you for joining us between now and 7 o'clock talking semi-state football. Let's jump right into it with our buddy Sam Frick from OutsideTheHuddle.net. Evening, Sam.
Hey, Justin. How are we doing?
We're doing well, buddy. And I think when you look at this field of four, Sam, I think there's one team that we said, yeah, we knew with a reasonable amount of confidence that Adams Central was going to be here. Other three, maybe not. But what's your take in terms of the field of four we have left, and anything surprise you out of those four?
Oh, man, just a lot of tremendous matchups here that we're going to have here in Fort Wayne, Indiana. I guess with Bishop Luers, when the season started, I think we all were not sure how good Luers was going to be, because I think we were questioning just whether Bishop Luers was going to be able to compete in the SAC. For them to come away not only as a co-SAC championship, but also being able to be one win away from getting to Lucas Oil Stadium, it is a huge accomplishment for Kyle Lindsay and his program.
Yeah, it's been phenomenal for Bishop Luers to make this run. But let's jump right into it, Sam, and let's start with Class 1A. Let's start with Adams Central. They get North Judson, a team that's lost multiple times this season coming in, and Adams Central's been able to roll through the 1A playoffs thus far. Is there an opportunity here for the Blue Jays, a team that runs for close to 300 yards per game on the ground, or are we looking at another Flying Jets route coming up tomorrow night in Monroe?
I mean, anytime you play at this point in the football playoffs, there's always a chance. With North Judson, if they can get a couple bounces early and force some turnovers, Adams Central gets off to a slow start. Maybe North Judson can make this a game early. They got some guys that can run the football, and they're, as Coach Mosier told me, they are better than last year for sure. But I think from a skills position, from a front line standpoint, Adams Central is clearly the superior team. And with Lutheran escaping last week's win over Providence, they'll be heavily favored as well against Sheridan. So barring some tremendous collapse, we should see a third straight matchup between Lutheran and AC.
How tough is it, Sam, when you look at opponents for Adams Central and their strength being the running game, and you're just like, well, that's not going to fly against Adams Central. You need a true balanced offense to have a shot. And unfortunately for North Judson, they're very run heavy.
Yeah, and I think it's an even bigger challenge, trying to sustain drives and get good field position against this Adams Central team that's physical and that gets to the quarterback. And you make mistakes and you don't get enough sustainable drives. AC can put this game out of reach in a hurry. Just look what happened against Madison Grant in regionals. MG scored 14 points in the first quarter, and once AC got going, they scored 49 in a row, and that was all she wrote.
Adams Central, as Sam mentioned, trying to get to the third consecutive Class 1A state championship game. If they are winners tomorrow night, they will kick off the weekend next weekend with the Class 1A state championship game on Friday. Kickoff for that scheduled for 11 a.m. on Friday, November 24th, down at Lucas Oil Stadium. Sam, in Class 2A, we mentioned Bishop Luers, and amazing that two of the most storied private programs and any program in the state of Indiana, first time they will match up, Lafayette Central Catholic and Bishop Luers tomorrow night out at Luers Field. And looking at this game and what it's going to take for Bishop Luers to emerge with a victory, LCC is as different as it comes in terms of the rest of the teams that Bishop Luers has played in the playoffs, and this seems to be, on paper at least, their biggest challenge of the postseason.
No question, and you kind of stole my thunder there because Luers has played a lot of teams that are pound the football throughout the entire postseason, and Lafayette Central Catholic is anything but pound the football. They are definitely a team that throws the football, dating all the way back to the days of Ryan O'Shea's dad, Kevin O'Shea, being the head coach there when they were winning state championship after state championship. Bobby Metzger, he's another gunslinger, right in Purdue country, 2,700 yards, 33 touchdowns. But Lindsay also mentioned about their front line being very physical as well, as Nick Page and Bryn Robbins and Ryan Delgado and Albert Schwartz. They have 20 sacks just from the top two leaders in sacks alone. So Central Catholic definitely has athletes beyond just a quarterback. The big thing with Bishop Luers is their pass coverage is going to have to be tremendous. And I think we're going to need to see a good performance from quarterback Cole McKenzie. I think he's been fine, but I think he's going to have to really elevate his game in the semi-state if they want to have a chance to play for their first state championship since 2020.
You brought up, I think, the biggest question and the biggest thing for Bishop Luers is Cohen McKenzie, the ability for Bishop Luers to be a threat vertically. And we saw it at times this season where Cohen McKenzie was successful. Saw it in the Dwenger games with some big throws, but he missed some throws last week, some wide-open receivers. You look at the margin for error for Bishop Luers. It's as small as it has been the entire playoff run heading into tomorrow. So you really kind of zeroed in on what I think will be the biggest thing for Luers is being able to throw the football. But conversely, with that Lafayette Central Catholic offense that you mentioned, who's it going to take? We saw Damian Jackson be able to get so much pressure last week off the edge. Wes Javins has been good. But in terms of defense, what's Bishop Luers need to do to slow down LCC?
Man, you're just going to have to going to come down to tackling, taking care of the little things, just getting off to a good start from an energy standpoint, making good plays, getting Metzger off his game early, a pick here and a pick there, maybe force a fumble could kind of snowball things a little bit for Lafayette Central Catholic. But this Knights team, they started season 1 and 3. They've used to find ways to overcome adversity as well. So this LCC team will be prepared from an energy standpoint.
Sam Frick, outside the Huddle.net, joining us here on the High School Coaches Show, presented by Hoopie Fieldhouse. And Sam, we got 3 Blue Bloods playing in semi-state from the area: Snider, Bishop Luers, Adams Central. The one outlier, Leo, who is in the semi-state for the first time since 2011. It will take on Northwood tomorrow night. Division I talent all over the field. You can talk Nitro Tuggle. You can talk JoJo Edmond. You can talk Creighton Hurst. You can talk about Brock Schott. A lot of individual talent on the field tomorrow. But does this game come down to those star players or maybe the supporting cast for both teams?
I think it's both. Because I think with Leo, the challenge is going to be, I think everyone knows the challenge with Northwood's going to be being able to contain the passing game, not just with Nitro Tuggle, but also the receivers around them. Northwood's got big-time recruits everywhere across the board. Owen Roeder's a big-time gunslinger quarterback from Northwood, and we know Northwood typically is known for pounding the football. This year they're known for throwing it, but they still have that physical presence that Northwood's known best. And I think for Leo, kind of like what we talked about last week against Mississauga, they got to be able to establish a strong presence up front and be able to force Roeder to make those tough plays in the passing game. Because if they can force Northwood to make those uncharacteristic mistakes and make things harder for Nitro Tuggle to make those catches, I think it gives Leo a higher chance for a successful game. But this is going to be a very difficult matchup for both teams.
Sam, when you look at teams that have had success against Northwood, one of them being Warsaw, and we know how Coach Bart Curtis plays it in terms of commanding the line of scrimmage, running the football, limiting possessions, is that the game that Leo should play tomorrow night? And we'll talk to Coach Jason Doerffler later on in the show, but we're talking so much about strength on strength and high-flying athletes. Will Leo try to play the keep-away game from Northwood tomorrow?
Oh, that's a good question because, on one hand, you look at Mishawaka, and that game with Northwood, that was a shootout, if you recall, and that went to overtime, and it was like 44, 45, something like that. So on one hand, yeah, I think you want to make sure you're playing the field to your strengths, but at the same time, I think you also have to be able to find a balance to be able to strike when the iron's hot. You know what I mean? And I think Leo's shown them a balance to be able to take advantage of their drives, but also being able to dominate the line of scrimmage and be able to control the clock. And I think for Leo, they're going to have to make sure they take care of the football and just be able to continue to just be aggressive, but also being responsible with the football. Be able to find Darius Carter in the backfield, utilizing Shot and Hurst in the passing game. Even Zeislav has had a couple plays in that passing game as well. So I think it's going to be a little bit of everything for Leo because this Northwood team can give you a lot of different matchups that can give Leo some trouble here. But it comes down to those little margins, as you mentioned.
Looking at it, Sam, in Class 5A, Maryville comes to Spohler Stadium to take on the Snider Panthers. It is the 6th-ranked team in Class 5A against the 2nd-ranked team in 5A, 7:30 kickoff. And still the buzz around Snider is how they were able to win that game last week at Mishawaka with Mang Tung with the 45-yard field goal at the buzzer to win the game. And you see what the Maryville has been able to do and average over 30 a game and the challenges that they present. But how do you see this one breaking down for the Panthers?
Yeah, it's a good question because Snider made some mistakes against Mishawaka, if you recall. They weren't quite the authentic, classic Snider Panthers, in terms of running the football. Mishawaka contained the run extremely well. They really had to go to Crom Billingsley quite a bit late in the game to set themselves up for that 45-yard field goal. And if you remember, Mishawaka kicked a 33-yard field goal about 30 or 40 seconds earlier to set up that last play for Snider. And I think the big thing for Snider is they're going to have to limit the big plays. Mishawaka had a big pass during that second half that allowed the Cavemen to get back in that game. And while Mishawaka is not known for throwing the football, on that play they took advantage of a play-action situation where Snider just was not able to get to that wide receiver there. And Maryville's a team that will throw the football a lot. You look at Nante Pope, he was only 2 of 7 passing in the first half against Valpo. He was 8 of 10 in the second half for 115 yards. That's the type of offense that Maryville is. They're very athletic. They're kind of like Central Catholic at times, but with more athletes to choose from. They got weapons everywhere. This Pirates team can score a lot of points in a hurry. But I think up front it's going to also be a big challenge because of Trey Stevens. I want to make sure I noted this here. The last play of the game, Trey Stevens made a big play to basically broke up a pass and deny a game-winning touchdown for Valpo when they were in the red zone in the last play of the game to preserve the win. So there's going to be a couple of big key matches, both on offense and defense, that Snyder's going to have to do a really good job to win this game. But ultimately, it's going to come down to turnovers.
Sam, when we look at it overall, 4 area teams left. You can make a case for every single one of them to find a way to win tomorrow night and advance to Indianapolis next weekend. In your mind, who makes it to state?
Ooh, you're putting me on the spot, aren't you? I think AC is almost for surely a shoe-in to get in. No offense to North Judson. I just think they're going to have to really play their best game of the season, and AC is going to have to play just uncharacteristic football for that to happen. I think Snider definitely has a chance, but I think this is definitely a coin toss, and I think this could go either way for me. The same thing can go for Leo and Northwood. So I think those are both coin toss games. I think the one that could be the toughest would be Bishop Luers and Lafayette Central Catholic. Luers have made some mistakes throughout the season that, if they don't play their best, if they don't play their sharpest, cleanest brand of football, against Central Catholic is just too talented of a football team to give them extra drives and possessions in the offensive end.
Good stuff as always. Sam, I appreciate it. Thanks a lot, buddy. We'll see what happens tomorrow night.
Yep, they're halfway there. Thank you.
That was Sam Frick of OutsideTheHuddle.net joining us here on the High School Coaches Show, kicking it off this evening. Plenty to get to when we come back. We have Kyle Lindsay, head coach of Bishop Luers, after the break. Also, Kurt Tippmann, Jason Doerffler later on in the show as well. Talking semi-state football here Thursday night, High School Coaches Show here on 1380 The Fan, 100.9 FM.
Many of you are aware of Hoopie Insurance Services' loyalty and support for local sports and youth leagues. But did you realize the Hoopie commitment to sports includes a turfed indoor practice facility? Tucked away off Stellhorn Road between Maple Crest and Lamehire is the Hoopie Fieldhouse, a great facility for indoor practices when Mother Nature is having a bad day. With 6,500 square feet of artificial surface, it's perfect for baseball, softball, soccer, and football. For a team, a league, or even a small group, the Hoopie Fieldhouse is available at just $50 an hour. Pitching, fielding, hitting. And it's the ideal spot when you can't take a chance on the weather, like tryouts or pregame prep. Youth football, little leagues, youth soccer. The Hoopie Fieldhouse can be your indoor practice home. Join now at just $50 an hour and get your times booked before it's too late. The Hoopie Fieldhouse, owned and managed by Hoopie Insurance Services. Get info and book times at HoopieFieldhouse.com. That's Hoopie, H-U-P-E, Fieldhouse.com.
Over the years, you've brought them into your home. You were prescribed opioids after the C-section, when Dad injured his back, when your basketball star tore his ACL. Opioids helped with the pain, and you held on to them just in case. But did you know holding on to unused opioids puts your family at risk? Opioids are powerful pain-reducing prescription medicines, but most people who are prescribed opioids don't finish their prescriptions. So millions of unused opioids are sitting in homes across the country. And tragically, more than 100 Americans die every day from overdoses involving opioids. What can you do to protect your family? Remove the risk of unused opioids from your home. Pills, patches, or syrups in drawers, purses, and cabinets, anywhere they might be hiding. To find out how to dispose of them properly, visit www.fda.gov/drug disposal.
Menards 11% sale ends Thanksgiving Day. Freshen up your home with a paint that's washable, scrubbable, and stain-resistant. Dutch Boy Forever Interior Paint and Primer in One features Arm & Hammer odor-eliminating technology. Don't wait and pick up a gallon of flat for $29.98 after 11% rebate now at Menards. Stores closed Thanksgiving, but 11% off remains in effect on Menards.com. Savings are mail-in rebates. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
Welcome back to the Hoopie Fieldhouse High School Coaches Show on 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM.
Happy Thursday evening, everybody. Welcome back. My name is Justin Kenny, here till 7 o'clock talking area high school football. Tomorrow night here on these very same airwaves, the 1380 game of the week will be out at Spoler Stadium. It will be the Maryville Pirates taking on the Snider Panthers. It'll be myself and Shannon Griffith on the call, filling in for Brett Rump, who's on the road with the Purdue-Fort Wayne Mastodon. So tune in. 7:30 will be the kickoff out at Spoler Stadium, half hour later than usual, to allow the Pirates and their fans to get up here and take in the game. It'll be another 7:30 kickoff out at Luers Field tomorrow night between Lafayette Central Catholic and Bishop Luers. Head coach of the Knights, Coach Kyle Lindsay, joining us right now. Evening, Coach.
Hey, Justin. How you doing?
We're doing well, buddy, and we're talking football here in mid-November, so things are going pretty well on your end, too.
Yeah, absolutely.
So take us through last week, Coach, in terms of taking on Bluffton, and it was a physical game. It was a low-scoring game. Sometimes it was an ugly game, but being able to persevere, and particularly that defense not allowing a point until the fourth quarter, and really being able to stymie that Bluffton offensive attack all night long.
Yeah, that was an old-fashioned playoff football game. Wasn't pretty. We talked about it at halftime. I don't think there was any doubt coming in at half and then heading out at half that our kids were ready to extend the lead and to win a championship game. At 3-0, we had a couple opportunities that's kind of been the identity, unfortunately, for this offense. Wandering opportunities down the red zone. We missed out on, probably 20 or so points last week. But our defense, when you play defense like that and force teams into doing things that they don't feel comfortable doing, good things are going to happen. And I'm just proud of our kids' effort, our ability to shake off any ugliness in special teams or offensive side of the ball last week. I don't think there was any doubt that we were going to get stops when we needed to. I think we held them to -9 rushing yards on 12 attempts. Now, granted, probably most of those were sacks, but again, they've run the ball down people's throats all year, and we made them really uncomfortable. And as soon as we got that 9-0 lead, they started putting the ball in the air a little bit more. That's when I think we were all on the sidelines were very confident that we were going to win that game.
Coach, when you look at the identity of your team and you say, well, we just kind of win ugly, when do you reach at some point of the season where you're like, we need to clean this stuff up off offensively till just going, you know what, we're just going to embrace it. And this is the team we got, and we're just going to roll with it and do that, because I think this offense has done just enough for you. Credit to them making plays when they've needed to, but definitely the defense has kind of led the way.
Yeah, defense is the story of this team, and there's no shame in that. With the exception of, I think, 3 playoff games, we played pretty turnover-free football this season. Just so happens, in 3 of the last 4 games, we put the ball on the ground. We've cut down on penalties. There's one aberration to that. Against Eastside, we had, I think, 7 holding penalties, and I think combined on the year, we've had just about 7 penalties holding. We went ugly. I don't think anybody in this locker room cares how we win. I don't think anybody in our community cares how we win. This team knows how to win. They play physical football. I have not seen a more physical football team on film that we've played or in person so far this year, and I hope that continues. The LCC is a very physical football program, very physical football defensive side of the ball in particular. They can chuck it around. They present a lot of obstacles to our defense that we just haven't seen this year. But I'm excited for the next challenge for these kids.
Speaking of challenges, Coach, you guys opened up the season against East Noble and New Haven, and they were lopsided games, both 0-2. How much, looking back, did that affect this team in terms of on the field, mentality, all that? Looking back, and do you look at those 2 games and go, yes, those absolutely benefited us to start the season?
Definitely. I don't think the New Haven score doesn't really reflect, how hard our kids played. That was really that was still a sign of offensive struggles early in the year. Moving the chains, getting first downs was really a struggle the first 2 or so weeks. And, we played hard defensively against East Noble. And then the more they just wore us down that second half. I'm not sure how many first downs we picked up, but our offense didn't do anything to help our defense out early in the season in particular. When your defense is living on the field for, I think we had 70 or so defensive snaps that night versus about 30 on offense. Even the best defenses are going to crumble a bit. And I think the main thing that we took away from week 1 was that, hey, your kid's style of football right now isn't going to cut it. There's a lot of walking around. Kids looked like they were out of shape. They looked like they were defeated. When in fact, it was 17-7 at halftime, and our defense played a really good first half. So in all honesty, that week 1 blowout on the road there, that was super beneficial to us, to our kids. We took a long, hard look in the mirror. The scoreboard didn't show it a week later against New Haven, but we played much better, much harder, and then we just kind of got better week in and week out. So that's been, definitely not a not where you want to be on the scoreboard early in the year. Hard to build confidence. But these credit to the senior class and these kids in this locker room. They just kept plugging away. They found ways to get better. They took coaching. They took hard coaching, and they just improved each week.
Speaking of a team that learned from the early part of the season, Lafayette Central Catholic, they were at 1.1-3 on the season and playing up with some teams like Guerin Catholic, Hamilton Heights, and West Lafayette. Haven't lost since September, and LCC now heads to Luers Field tomorrow night. Coach, when you look at what the Lafayette Central Catholic Knights are going to bring in tomorrow evening, what do you see?
I see a physical football program. I see a team playing with a lot of confidence. A team that's got a very good defense. They rally to the ball. Their defensive line kind of reminds me of our defensive line. They're long, they're disruptive. They play a 3-4 with linebackers that get to the ball, that are physical and finish. Then on the back end, they communicate well and they tackle well in open space. So, our offense again is going to have its work cut out for them. We've just been preaching, hey, we're ready. We're right there on the brink of turning this corner and being an explosive offense. It's getting a little old saying it week in and week out, but the film doesn't lie. I mean, we are so close for explosive plays and really putting some points on the. They bring a passing in that we just haven't seen this year. Their offensive line's big. They pass pro well. They got some running backs that like to run between the tackles, get downhill. They're physical runners, and then their quarterback is he's really nimble. He's got a heck of an arm. He's a good athlete, but he understands pocket presence and he's got some agility. So he's very good at buying time, and his receivers are doing a heck of a job with him at moving around the field with him. They throw some more complex route concepts than we've seen all year. A lot of screens. They make your defense defend sideline to sideline, and you gotta be honest and you gotta stop the run this time of year. But they also can throw the ball over the top. So we got a work cut out for us for sure.
You look at the attack that LCC will bring, and Bobby Metzger, you mentioned him and being able to get the ball downfield. You have a relatively young secondary. It's a talented secondary. You have Isaac Zay back there at the safeties, but plays safety spot. But how important is it going to be for guys like Damian Surrey and Mikhail Woodson, a couple sophomores, to play the best game that they have all year?
Very important. I mean, defense, you have one breakdown on defense, and that could be the difference in a ball game. It could be difference in getting a stop and giving up a big play. So the challenge is always there, every snap. I like to think that a strong pass rush and being disruptive up front can really help a secondary out. I like the talent. I like the abilities that we have on the back end with these sophomores and juniors. But above all else, I like our guys in the box that love. They're waiting to have an opportunity. They've been waiting for a while to have an opportunity to really sit back and dial in on a pass rush. They got a little bit what they wanted last week. That second half against Bluffton, they got to pin their ears back, and I think we racked up 4 or 5 sacks in that second half when they had to throw the ball. But this is a whole different beast at LCC, and they protect their quarterback well, and he buys time, and it's a spring game. So we got a work cut up for us, but I'm confident our back end, those youngsters, will make plays and will communicate as they've done all year.
Coach, before I let you go, I wanted to ask you about one of your players. We talk so much about Isaac Zay and Mickey Daring, and for good reason. I wanted to ask you about Tristan Wilcox. I mean, just an affable dude. Always seems to have a smile on his face off the field. You can't miss him on the field and on the sidelines. He's just he's tremendous to see out there. Biggest kid out there, hustles, and just a great kid. And I'm always smiling anytime I see Tristan out there. He just always seems like he's having fun. Just seems like a great kid.
Oh, sure. He's probably the favorite in the locker room, and I know this for the last 4 years. He's been a fan favorite since he was on the sidelines as a freshman. He was around every single huddle, offense or defense. He's always clapping, always trying to rally the troops. And this has been kind of his MO, since he's been here. He's always making people laugh. Yeah, he's just a type of kid you want to be around, and I'm happy to see him on the field for an entire year and watching him ball out. It's been fun.
Definitely. Coach, I appreciate the time, buddy. I know you got a lot to do, but thanks a lot, and good luck tomorrow night, buddy.
Hey, thanks for having me, Justin.
Absolutely. Take care. That was Coach Kyle Lindsay of the Bishop Luers Knights joining us. His team will take on Lafayette Central Catholic tomorrow night. First matchup ever between two of the more storied programs in the entire state. Bishop Luers having the record 11 state championships under its belt. Lafayette Central Catholic having 8 of them in its history. So combined 19 state championships between the two teams facing off tomorrow night at Luers Field, 7:30 kickoff. After the break, we'll talk to Coach Kurt Tippmann, Snider Panthers. After this, also Jason Doerffler, Leo Lions coming up a little bit later. Semi-state edition of the High School Coaches Show here on 1380 The Fan, 100.9 FM.
Many of you are aware of Hoopie Insurance Services loyalty.
Listen to Purdue Fort Wayne Mastodons men's basketball right. Listen to Purdue Fort Wayne Mastodons men's basketball right here.
Showtime, baby!
All season long as they try to rumble to the top of the Horizon League.
Conchar slams it home!
Mastodons basketball.
His three-pointer on the way.
The Mastodons head to the Arizona Tip-Off in Phoenix to take on Northern Arizona this Friday with a 4:15 pregame.
Mastodons basketball exclusively on 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM.
If you're looking for 160 days of electric live racing thrills that can only be delivered by one of Indiana's most renowned harness racing tracks, then look no further than Harrah's Hoosier Park. Our 30th championship season is running now through December 9th. Visit harrahshoosierpark.com for full details. Must be 18 or older to wager on horse racing at racetracks and 21 or older to gamble at sports books and casinos. Know when to stop before you start. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-9-WITH-IT.
Many of you are aware of Hoopie Insurance Services loyalty and support for local sports and youth leagues. But did you realize the Hoopie commitment to sports includes a turfed indoor practice facility? Tucked away off Stellhorn Road between Maple Crest and Laymeyer is the Hoopie Fieldhouse, a great facility for indoor practices when Mother Nature is having a bad day. With 6,500 square feet of artificial surface, it's perfect for baseball, softball, soccer, and football. For a team, a league, or even a small group, the Hoopie Fieldhouse is available at just $50 an hour. Pitching, fielding, hitting. And it's the ideal spot when you can't take a chance on the weather, like tryouts or pregame prep. Youth football, little leagues, youth soccer. The Hoopie Fieldhouse can be your indoor practice home. Join now at just $50 an hour and get your times booked before it's too late. The Hoopie Fieldhouse, owned and managed by Hoopie Insurance Services. Get info and book times at hoopiefieldhouse.com. That's Hoopie, H-U-P-E, Fieldhouse.com.
This is the Hoopie Fieldhouse High School Coaches Show on 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM.
Welcome back, everybody, to the High School Coaches Show. I'm Justin Kenny. Coming up tonight here on 1380 The Fan, 100.9 FM. Thursday night football pregame show starting at 7:30. It'll be the Bengals and Ravens tonight. And after a poor week last week of primetime games, you have Bengals and Ravens tonight. Sunday night, you have Vikings-Broncos, which all of a sudden becomes an interesting game with how the Broncos have been playing. And then the big one coming up on Monday night with the Chiefs and the Eagles. And you'll be able to hear all three of those games here on 1380 The Fan, 100.9 FM. But tomorrow night, it's high school football here on these very airwaves. The game of the week for 1380 The Fan, 100.9 FM. It'll be Maryville and Snider. And head coach of the Snider Panthers, Coach Kurt Tippmann, joins us right now. Evening, Coach.
Good evening. Thanks for having me.
Anytime, Coach. And wow, I mean, after last week, I know outside the program people are still buzzing about it, but take us through the final pivotal few minutes of that game, not only getting the stop to force the field goal for Mishawaka, but then Kieran Billingsley driving that team down, and, of course, Mang Tung making the 45-yard field goal. Just a phenomenal amount of execution by your guys in all three facets.
Yeah, I mean, our defensive coaches really did a nice job constructing a game plan to combat what is a really hard offense to defend. I mean, we held them to just at 100 yards rushing, which is unheard of. And, in that situation where they had the ball, they were close enough to field goal range. We knew, we kind of thought they'd run the ball. And so our guys did a really good job being disciplined, and, we got to stop, used a timeout, and only had to use one. And then, the field goal, we actually got a hand on the field goal. Will Kelsaw and Adam Blakey both kind of tipped it, but it still went through. And I think it was 49 seconds left. But we knew, the kickoffs all night, they would not kick it deep to us. And so they were squibbing and almost essentially onside kicking it. And so we were getting the ball in good field position at midfield. So, there was not a lot of panic because we knew we'd get the ball around midfield. We still had a timeout left, and our goal was to get it to the 30-yard line. And so the first play, they were in an alignment with 2 defensive linemen and 9 guys back there in pass defense. And so, we hit the check down to the receiver coming across the middle who got tackled, used the timeout. But then, showing that front, we thought just run the ball. And, the clock would stop in high school on any first down. We just had to make sure that we ran the ball for first down. But with the way they were aligned, it made sense. They were just telling us to run the ball. But we only needed to get 2 first downs. And the first run, Q-run, makes a guy miss and gains probably 16 or 17 yards. And then on the next one, again, gained 5 or 6 and then was able to spike it to stop the clock with, I think, 4 seconds left. Our goal was to get it to the 30, and he got it to about the 28.5. And Chase and Mung have kind of shared the field goal duties. Chase is kind of more the inside. We get the ball to the 20, 23. He's a little bit more accurate in there. He's an older kid, a little stronger in terms of accuracy. And Mung is the guy that we need and use if it's a little bit longer than that, 25-yard line, 30-yard line. And so, we knew for that yardage it would be Mung. And, as a sophomore, he just ran out there and did what he'd been practicing doing and drilled it. So credit to all those guys, the snapper, Landon Fry, the holder, Trevor Jarvis, and obviously Mung. So great job execution and really defensively, offensively, and the kicking game.
Coach, when you look at Kieron Billingsley, led you in rushing last week, ran 22 times. Are there a lot of designed runs for Kieron? Does he have an RPO option? How do you approach that in terms of him?
Well, he allows us to do a lot of things with decisions, call them options. Sometimes they're run options, give the ball to this guy or pull it and keep it.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're run-pass options, and sometimes it's pass and then run option. So he's able to do that. He's intelligent, does a really good job of analyzing what the look is that they're giving him and makes good choices. And then, he's dynamic with the ball in his hand. And, he's not a big guy in stature, and so it's not something that we want to live in. And hasn't featured that a lot during the season, but just because no need to take some of those hits. But when it comes to crunch time, he's going to be a guy that does some pretty good things with the ball in his hands, and I think that makes our offense pretty hard to stop.
People outside programs, we love to focus on skill and what you can do with the ball in your hands or whatever, but it's all cerebral with a position like that. And how important is it? You can have a kid that's all world athletics, but if he doesn't have the intelligence to know when to pull and when to hand off and all that, it's moot. And Kieron seems to be zoned in on being able to read defenses and what guys are doing and where they're heading to really make the right decision for you.
Well, you're exactly right. It all comes down to decision making. At the high school level and probably beyond, that guy has to make split-second decisions and then have the technique and the skill to be able to execute the movement that you're asking him to do. But the decision-making process is paramount. you see a lot of really good athletes that get paralyzed in the decision-making process, and they can't make that decision, or their skill level can't keep up with the decision-making or lack thereof. And so what Kieran does a really good job of is making good decisions. And, with an athlete and a guy that does some special things kind of ad lib, you also got to be willing to give him some room to do some things that maybe are unconventional, but put the offense in good position. And as coaches, we got to be a little less stringent on some of the rules and allow some flexibility in his decision-making process. And what he's done is he's proven that not every decision is perfect, but it fits with what we want him to be able to do on offense. And again, makes us more dynamic and I think harder to defend.
Coach Kurt Tippmann, Snider Panthers, joining us here. And, Coach, you get Maryville coming to town tomorrow to take you on at Spoller Stadium. What have you learned in scouting the Pirates?
Well, they're very athletic, big. They have size. They have speed. They have experience. They're young at some positions, but they're very talented across the board. Offensively, they have a senior quarterback, very similar in Kieran in that he does some things with his legs. Really, this last part of the season and in the playoffs, he's really hurt defenses with him running the ball. Has a very strong arm. I mean, he has a laser, and is able to throw the ball very well, too. They have very capable receivers, very skilled at the receiver position. And then running back-wise, two really talented guys. One that, number 2 is a sophomore, and he's probably their primary guy. But then number 14, who's a senior, a bigger, stronger kid, but he's also their starting Sam linebacker. So he kind of shares time, and they spell him with number 2. But he's really probably the guy they want to have back there more. But both very talented guys. And then up front, they're just big, hulking offensive linemen that, drive guys off the ball and open holes for those guys. So they spread you out, but they'll also pack it in and, bring a tight end and 2 backs in and, kind of old school football and kind of mash it at you, but then have the explosiveness. Anybody that touches the ball has the ability to score anytime they touch it, and that's dangerous. And it's a lot like some SAC teams. You have that dilemma, prominently in every game. That's anytime these guys touch the ball, they have a chance to take it to the house. Maryville certainly presents that problem. And then defensively, they're very active. I mean, they are flying around, fast, physical, violent, explosive. Like I said, 14 is their best defensive player in our mind that flies around and he just wrecks offense. He just blows stuff up. And he's good in coverage. He's good on blitz. He's good at tackling. And, a big inside. Their 2 down guys are really big, 280, 300-pound guys. And then their edge guys are speed guys, fast guys, come flying off the edge and disrupt the offense. And then secondarily, they're really talented in the secondary. Very fast, very, they kind of stick on you like glue. So they just don't give you a lot of room to breathe. They're kind of all over the place on you. And then they have a solid kicking game. They have a kicker that's, kicked 5 or 6 field goals, I think as long as in the 50s. So a kid with a strong leg. They're just well-rounded, very talented, very accomplished team in all 3 facets.
And, Coach, when you get to this level with the experience you've had over the years, just how much does it come down to executing what you guys do and minimizing mistakes?
Well, I think that's the whole deal, minimizing mistakes. In all of our years playing in this game, the team that makes the fewest mistakes is going to advance. And certainly there's some levels of execution that have a lot to do with that. And the more the 2 teams are equally matched, the more those turnovers and those mistakes are accentuated. But that's certainly the case with our matchup with them. The team that makes the fewest mistakes is going to advance. I think that's the experience that we have with that. That's kind of our plan during the entire year, building for this moment and addressing the fact that, when you get to this high-pressure kind of situation, you always revert back to your lowest level of performance execution. And so our performance level of execution, so that, when you revert back to that in the highest intensity competition scenario, that it's of higher quality than your opponent. And that's certainly what we're going to get measured on tomorrow night, and that'll be, ultimately the reason we win or lose.
Always good stuff. Coach, I appreciate the time. Thanks a lot. Good luck tomorrow night, 7:30 kickoff out at Spoler.
Thank you, and good luck to the other area teams. How about Adams Central? What a run they've had, and what a great job they do. What a great program, and for the third year in a row, going to try to play for a state championship, and then, Luers, perennial power, and then Leo. Good luck to all those guys.
Yeah, most definitely. Coach, I appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thanks.
That was Coach Kurt Tippmann, Snider Panthers, joining us here on the High School Coaches Show. Going to step out, come back. Jason Doerffler, head coach of the Leo Lions. We'll talk about Leo's first trip to semi-state since 2011 and preparing for the Northwood Panthers tomorrow night. After the break here on 1380 The Fan, 100.9 FM.
Need quick cash? Look no further than Premier Auto Pawn for financial relief. At Premier Auto Pawn, they understand that life can throw you curveballs, whether it's medical bills, legal needs, or paying off that sports bet. Turn your car, truck, motorcycle, mower, ATV, trailer, or boat into cash within minutes. The process is simple, transparent, and designed to get you the money you need quick. Don't let financial stress weigh you down. Visit Premier Auto Pawn today, 918 South Anthony Boulevard. Visit PremierAutoPawn.com. Turn your vehicle into quick cash and regain control of your financial future with Premier Auto Pawn.
I can't think of any way to improve upon the service that I receive.
Gibson's Heating and Plumbing is your independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer that is ranked #1 out of nearly 300 dealers nationwide in customer satisfaction. Here's what Gibson's customers are saying.
The office is always courteous. Gibson's service tech is exceptional in his attitude and performance, and is friendly and efficient as he follows up and explains what he's done that day and what needs to be done if there's going to be a follow-up. Kudos to Gibson's for their outstanding service.
Your independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer, Gibson'sHeating.com.
When it comes to making plans, you are the best. What about those round trips that you plan in advance, which are perfect on your way there and perfect on your way back? Or those meetings with friends for which you make a group chat 3 months before so that nobody or anything is missing? Or your daughter's first birthday party. You planned it with such dedication that instead of the first, it felt like our 15s. The same way you plan each detail for those moments. Start planning to protect you and your loved ones from a natural disaster. Sign up for local weather and emergency alerts. Prepare an emergency kit and make a family communications plan. Protecting your family is the best plan you can make. Get started at ready.gov/plan.
Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. We leave no warrior behind. Wounded Warrior Project is a non-profit organization created to help armed men and women returning home with the scars of war. Whether those scars are physical or mental, we're here to make sure that they heal. And whether it's helping those with post-traumatic stress disorder live a normal life again, or giving much-needed support to injured warriors in veterans' hospitals. Because no one deserves our help more than the men and women who risk their lives to keep us safe. Wounded Warrior Project. We never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Learn more about what we do at woundedwarriorproject.org.
You are listening to the Hoopy Fieldhouse High School Coaches Show on 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM.
Welcome back, everybody, to the semi-state edition of the High School Coaches Show, presented by Hoopy Fieldhouse. Tomorrow night, a four-pack of games around the area, all at home, 4 teams all battling to get to the state championship game over Thanksgiving weekend. One of those will be up at Leo, as the Leo Lions will take on Northwood. Head coach of the Lions, Coach Jason Doerffler. Evening, Coach.
Good evening. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, Coach. I wouldn't be surprised if you already have tailgaters out in the parking lot up at Leo with the excitement around the program right now. It took care of business on the road at Mississinawa last week. When you head into a game against an undefeated opponent and just coming off a really big win over Kokomo, the approach to that and going on the road, was it very businesslike? I mean, how did you approach it coming off the emotions of winning a sectional to get the guys refocused and going on the road against an undefeated team and handling them the way you did?
Yeah, I mean, early in that game, there were some breaks that kind of went our way. Obviously, Mississinawa had a great season. They're still a very good team. But we were able to kind of pounce on them early. And, we made some big plays. We capitalized on some bad punting on their behalf and had some short fields and played some really good defense. And then we were able to kind of put the nail in the coffin with a kickoff return to start the second half. So things went very well, and our guys got off the bus and played with some confidence, which was good to see because we hadn't been to that level of the tournament in a while, and you're playing an undefeated opponent, but they acted like they belonged and played very well.
You mentioned that kick return by Darius Carter, and I guess tell me about him because he wasn't a major contributor for you in the backfield early in the season. You had Brett Fuller go out, and Darius Carter emerges. Just a kid that just seemed to me like a continued to work, and when he had the opportunity, he's made the most of it.
Absolutely. He's had an unbelievable second half of the season here, and he had battled some injuries throughout the summer and last season. So we never really got to see him in a whole lot of game action until, he was kind of thrown into the fire after an injury to Brett, who was having an outstanding season. So Darius stepped in, and man, he's really been a spark plug for us. He's kind of hard to find. He's a smaller guy, and he can kind of hide behind the offensive line, and when he sees a hole, he's able to hit it, and he's done a great job.
When you look at matchups with Northwood and the challenges they present, what really has gotten your attention?
Yeah, I mean, their offense is very good. They throw the ball a lot. They've got a senior quarterback that I don't know the exact stats, but he's up there in terms of passing yardage and all that type of stuff. And then they have two excellent receivers, highly recruited guys. Nitro Tuttle, he's going to the University of Georgia, and then JoJo Edmond, who is going to Michigan. So when you have two of those types of guys in high school football, that's obviously very dangerous. So they do a good job of getting the ball to those guys. The other thing about Northwood is I think they've kind of prided themselves historically, which is a very tradition-rich football program, on being physical and being tough, and that hasn't changed. So they still have that kind of culture ingrained into all of their guys, and now they have some tremendous playmakers on top of that. So it makes them very dangerous, obviously.
When you look at that complementary group, and I think that's the big thing when you look at you guys have athletes, they have athletes. How do you match up in the trenches? What's your take on that in terms of how good you guys are and how you match up front?
Yeah, I mean, if you just look at the numbers, they're maybe a little bit bigger than us, just in terms of size. But it'll be a physical battle, and our conference has done a good job of preparing us for different types and styles of play, and so we're ready. Our guys have faced a lot of physical teams. They faced some teams with some tremendous athletes on the outside. So it's not going to be easy by any means. It'll be a tremendous challenge, but we're going to have to win the battle at the line of scrimmage, and I know that's easier said than done, but our guys will be up to the challenge.
I know people from outside looking in say, okay, Tuggle and Edmond and Schott and Hurst, or there's just going to be high flying up and down the field. Does it benefit you guys, do you feel, if this is more of a grinded out type game? Is it a game where you approach it and you see Warsaw had success against Northwood, for example, and how Bart Curtis plays. Is it maybe a situation where you want to limit their possessions a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, and at the same time, we have to do what we're good at. And the last few weeks, we've really kind of created a good rhythm on offense, and a lot of that entails kind of going fast and not huddling, and putting the defense kind of on the defensive. And we're in kind of attack mode. So we don't want to lose that and get out of our rhythm and what has benefited us. But you're exactly right. I mean, those guys, the more – now they play both ways, but those guys, the more they don't have the ball in their hands, the better off we all are. So, the other aspect of having those guys on the field is the kicking game. We have to be smart about how we kick off, how we punt, and they have an excellent kicker as well. So they usually he usually kicks it in the end zone. So field position will be important, no question.
Hey, Coach, I've been talking about it all night with Coach Tippmann and Coach Lindsay, and when it comes down to all these different aspects of what these teams are and how the challenges they present, in the end, it just kind of comes down to which team makes less mistakes, right?
Yeah, and we have done a good job of that. And, offensively, we have really – we kind of turned it over quite a bit early in the season. We weren't necessarily clicking. We've just done a good job lately of taking care of the football and not creating anything easy. We've played pretty strong defense all year, and that's kind of been our mentality is like, if, teams are going to score on us, let's make them go 80 yards and not give up big plays or not give them an easy turnover and then a short field. So that's definitely going to have to continue in a playoff-type atmosphere. And, obviously the weather is going to change a little bit. It'll be cooler than what it's been, and maybe a little bit of wind. So all those things will factor in.
I have to imagine, Coach, it wasn't an easy decision for you to leave Northrop because you put so much time and effort and sweat into that program. But now that you're preparing for this game tomorrow, was this one of the main reasons why this just made sense for you to have an opportunity to lead a team this deep in the playoffs?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it wasn't easy. I mean, but at the end of the day, everything happens for a reason. And, I had been at Northrop for a long time, and, I felt like we had gotten better each and every year, probably up through 2021. And, you could just kind of feel that maybe it was time for a change on both ends. So, like I said, it wasn't easy. And everything at the end of the day happens for a reason, and it works out if you work your butt off and have your heart in the right place. Things will work out for you. So it has been a blessing, no question, coming to Leo, and this tournament run has been a highlight for sure.
All right, Coach, one more to go, one win to go before a trip to Indianapolis is on the schedule. So good luck tomorrow night. It will be a 7 o'clock kickoff at Leo. Thanks, buddy.
All right, I appreciate it. Thank you.
That was Coach Jason Doerffler of the Leo Lions joining us to wrap up the show this evening. And, man, you look at what teams have tomorrow night. And Adams Central, and they have a clear path. I mean, they're heavily favored heading into tomorrow with North Judson. But you look elsewhere with Bishop Luers challenging game against Lafayette Central Catholic. Leo has to deal with that athleticism of Northwood, but conversely, Northwood has to deal with the same thing with Leo. And then Snider and Maryville. Who can book their ticket down to Lucas Oil? The record for the area, 3 teams. Has happened multiple seasons, most recently in 2002. Could we get 4 for next Friday and Saturday down at Lucas Oil Stadium? We'll talk about it next Tuesday night. Special night for the high school coaches show next Tuesday with the Thanksgiving holiday coming up next week. So tune in to that. Also tune in to tomorrow night
Podcasts by Federated Media.